Hey everyone, Once Bitten here at the Battle Report. So again, I bring up my Beastmen army versus a Vampire Counts army, 2,500 points. Titled this game The Shaman Sacrifice, which obviously you can understand better later. It's Blood and Glory, but we've modified it to where if you achieve the Blood and Glory scenario objectives, you get 250 victory points, but it doesn't end the game. It doesn't mean you win the game. It just helps out. So this is the same opponent that was playing Ogres a few games back when his dice were so hot that I made him use my dice. So it cracked me up. He showed up, he pulled all these dice out of his bag, and he allowed me to choose which dice he would use for the game. So I chose the blue dice, and we both had a good laugh about it. So starting on the far left, you notice there's a big piece of weird terrain in the middle that I'll show later, but it kind of made setting up in the middle awkward, and so both of us kind of chose this my left corner to go into. So he has a big unit of hand weapon shield skeletons with two vampires in there, which makes that a pretty tough nut to crack. A Graveguard unit with Banner the Barrows as well as his White King BSB. A big old unit of zombies with a Necromancer, a Corpse Cart, and then another hand weapon shield, big bus of skeletons with his Vampire Lord. So I actually kind of like this build. He's got a lot of tough units. He's got these skeletons, even though they're not great in combat, they're relatively survivable because of the parry save, and with the characters in there, the units as a whole are somewhat killy. Graveguard is nothing to sneeze at, and the zombies are awful, but there's just so darn many of them. And then here on my far right, he's got his Black Coach. So he set him up here completely away from the action, so he can absorb power dice, and then by the time he gets all beefed up, he can fly anywhere he wants to on the board. So starting on my far right, I was throwing down harpies and chariots just as chaff, not knowing where he was going. So they're over here just to make sure they weren't in my way. This unit of gore I had over here because if you look in the upper left where that terrain is, really only one unit can fit in between it. So my thinking was to bring this unit around so that if his general comes close to wanting to charge underneath that arch, I can possibly charge them in the flank with these guys. And even if I can't do it, maybe I can just pose the threat and cause my opponent to make some difficult choices. So in front of that arch, I have another unit of gore. All my gore units in this game have extra hand weapon shield and full command. And the only thing about that piece of terrain, first of all, we're saying that we're not worried about the 1-inch rule with it because it's such a dominant feature in the middle of the board. We don't want that to be an issue. And if you have a spellcaster underneath it, they get +1 to channel. And we just made up those rules. We kind of liked it. It was kind of a hassle to deal with, and it made the game kind of interesting. Anyway, to the left of it, I've got my Horde of Gore with my Battle Standard Bearer, and he's got the +1 strength banner for everyone in the unit. Behind him, I have a Great Brave Shaman, and I'm really liking this build. It's just nice and aggressive and gritty, and it kind of makes me want to put him in combat. I'm not sure why I put him out of this unit. On my first turn, I put him back in the unit. Let's see, to the left of there, I've got my Bestigor with my General. They have the Standard Discipline, Gorgon behind them, Harpies behind them, and then a Chariot. So since it's Blood and Glory, I like to keep track of the Fortitude, so we're both starting off with 7. That's 1 for each banner, an extra 1, of course, for the Battle Standard Bearer, and then 2 for the General. He rolls the roll-off for going first, so he moves up, as you can see. Pulls his Necromancer out of the zombies because he doesn't want in combat. And at this point, he realized I have no offensive magic, and I have no shooting. So he's in no danger whatsoever. Over here, he just moves his Black Coach up as much as he can. We go to Beastman turn 1. So at this point, I realized that I don't like my plan with the gore going around the arch. I think I'd rather pull my other unit deeper and force his general's unit to come under the arch and then have this one threaten a flank from over here. So that's what I'm trying to do. I fly my Harpies over to get them near the action where they can provide some redirection, and I go ahead and move the Chariot up so he can just get behind his lines, maybe threaten the Corpse Cart or something like that. Now the gore, I tried to do a swift reform and they failed the test for it, so I wanted to move them up a little bit. As it is, one thing I wasn't considering is his Black Coach. I I was thinking his black coach could charge my guys, and I would love for him to charge that gore unit. I really think I'll just beat him through combat res maybe, and he'd have to take a dangerous terrain test. What I wasn't thinking about is he causes terror, and I've and I'm leadership 7, nowhere near a BSB or my general. So that was kind of a fail. But like I said, there just because you had to be 9 inches in from the side, there just wasn't really room over where everything else was. Anyway, looks like that. Really, I don't move up. I just shuffle things apart so I can bring my Gorgon and my Chariot up. I'd love to get a dual charge with my Gorgon and any unit. Um, I think he would add so much in terms of whittling these big units down very quickly. And yes, I take my Great Brave Shaman, put him in the unit. And we go to Vampire Counts turn 2. So this is where my right flank totally crumbles. So it was his Black Coach charges my Chariot. I realize he only needs to roll a 7 to get there and is easily going to win. And if that happens, I can't even countercharge with my Gore unit because of the way I positioned him. So I flee with the Chariot. His General's unit charges a Chariot. He flees again, runs through my Harpies, who promptly fail their panic test and flee through that dangerous terrain and lose a guy. The Black Coach redirects to my Gore. I fail my terror test. They run. The General's unit with the skeletons redirects into my Gore and fails their charge. And I'm really regretting my awful deployment on the right flank. Over here, his skeletons with the two vampires charged my Bestigor. I was hoping he'd make it, but he failed. And then, by the way, what he did during his magic phase, he kind of just moved all his troops back again. Like if he wasn't going to get the charge, he didn't want me getting the counter charge. So, Beastman turn 2, I got the counter charge with my Bestigors anyway. My Gorgon tried to go in there with the Bestigors on the left and failed. He needed a 6 and failed it. So, not the end of the world, but I was thinking he might really help whittle down that unit a lot faster. I didn't take my Bestigor in there, I don't think. It's possible I failed to charge. I really don't think I did because I had to charge both units at the same time, and I just didn't like the idea of doing it. So I just redirect with the Harpies. The big thing is just make sure his Graveguard can't come to the flank of my Bestigor. And I think my Bestigor can win the fight they're in, but it's going to take him a few rounds. And so I just need to make sure I keep those Graveguard tied up. So it's like that. Over here, my Harpies rally, my Chariot doesn't, my unit of Gore doesn't and runs off the board, and my Fortitude goes down by 1. So I'm down to 6 to his 7. And otherwise it looks like this. Now, my plan was never to have my Gore unit on the right come up that close to his General's unit. His General's skeleton unit is going to totally destroy this unit in combat. But if I didn't move him up, he could see my horde and could get a pretty easy flank charge into him. So now I kind of felt forced to use this unit as a sacrifice just to make sure his General doesn't destroy my BSB's unit, because that would be the game. I think if he, this early in the game, if he destroys my BSB's unit or my Bestigor unit, I'm not gonna be able to come back from it. I can afford to lose this smaller unit of Gore. So we go over here. Now my General has a Sword of Anti-Heroes, so instead of 4 attacks, he has 6 attacks, strength 7. Of course, re-rolling to hit. So that General, that Vampire touching my General, he issues a challenge because he knows my General's attacks are going to go on him anyway, and my General promptly kills him. During the magic phase, I got off +1 strength and toughness, and he dispelled it with his dice. Then I got Savage Beast of Horus off, and he used a dispel scroll. So I had plenty of dice. So then I got off Pan's Impenetrable Pelt. So I was very, very confident that my General was not going to get killed there, and he didn't even take a wound. So afterward, it looks like that. So I'm losing a few Bestigor. That's because he has a Vampire on the other side who's doing some killing. But my General made pretty short work of this guy. Another thing that's nice is my General has the other Trickster Shard. So we're actually splitting up my attacks. Any Bestigor hitting that are near the General, I do it separately so that he has to re-roll any past parry saves, which I kind of like. See, Vampire Counts turn 3. His Black Coach charges the Harpies. They fail their terror test and run off the board. I'm getting really sick of that. Then he runs into the woods on his failed charge, fails his dangerous terrain, and takes 3 wounds. And I rolled the number to wound. It was killing me that I didn't roll a 4 and just kill the thing. I think it only has 4 wounds, whatever it has. So Vampire Count's turn 3. If you look on the right, his general's unit with the skeletons charging to my gore unit, he's gonna own that combat. The Graveguard and the zombies both charge my harpies, and I'm very, very confident that my harpies are going to die. Yeah, so it looks like that. And I'm okay with that. I'd really, if he kills the harpies, the nice thing is he can't keep his units together. If he overruns with one or really almost anything he does, I'm going to get to charge one of the units instead of having to charge both the units with my Gore Horde. And that's really what I want. So my thinking is my Gore Horde will probably charge the zombies, and I'll take my Gorgon into the Graveguard and then hold everything up that way. Over here, combat on the left, you'll notice he in the challenges, his champion got in a challenge with my champion. So I just took all the Bestigors touching his vampire, threw all their attacks on her, killed her. You notice I'm losing a few more Bestigor because she went first and killed some. So I'm winning the combat over here, but there's just a lot of skeletons. Plus, I think he regrew some during his magic phase. So again, I think I'm killing a lot more than he is. The problem is the war of attrition. He just has so many darn guys. And after combat, he couldn't kill my darn harpies. The problem was when I scrunched together, only I think 2 or 3 of his Graveguard were touching him, and they just kind of whiffed, and the zombies couldn't really hurt him. So I had 2 guys left. He broke them in combat, pursued with the zombies. Because of the angle, you see where the harpies fled. His zombies tried to go that way, but he really couldn't fit between the corpse cart and the Graveguard, so we just moved him forward. And now my 2 harpies landed right in front of my Gorgon, which just absolutely hurts so badly. Because, again, the plan was my Gorgon charges the Graveguard. I think I can tie them up for a while. My Horde goes into the zombies. I'm going to win all 3 of those combats, I believe. It's just going to take a little bit of time. But now I don't, it's tough. My first thought is, how do I keep the Graveguard from getting into the flank of my Bestigor with my general? Because if he does that, I kind of think that's the game. Over here, of course, his general kills the score unit, so my fortitude is down to 5. He's still at his full 7. And we go to Beastmen turn 3. So, yeah, I had to make some tough decisions here. The biggest one is I charged my Great Brave Shaman out of the Horde into his Graveguard, which is almost, in some ways it feels like a suicide attack, but basically, and we both know what I'm doing, I'm hoping to get up there and get Transformation of Kadan off, turn into a Mount Chimera, and just own that unit, which would be brilliant. I might be able to pop it in one go between all the wounds I would do and the static combat res. Which means I can't take my Horde of Gore into the zombies because you can't charge a unit character out and then charge with the unit. So my Gore unit is not in combat. They just kind of walk up a little bit, and both of us are holding our breath about the magic phase to see if I can get Transformation of Kadan off. Yeah, here's the Gore unit. They just stepped forward. I really would have liked to gotten in there, but I couldn't do everything, and I couldn't afford my general's unit to take Graveguard in the flank. The Gorgon, since he couldn't charge because of the darn harpies, I just repositioned him so he could see left and see right, so he could charge or move any way I needed him to. So mainly, I put him like this so he could charge if I needed him to. His general's unit with all those warriors, I think at this point in the game I'm probably not going to be able to destroy that unit. There's just too many skeletons to try to kill. So I'm really hoping to take everything else off the table and just win the game that way. So we go to the magic phase, and I roll, I believe, a 10 or 11 for the Winds of Magic. I throw 6 dice at Transformation of Kadan, and I roll a 26. He throws his 6 dice to dispel it, and he rolls a 26 exactly. Between rolling and magic levels, it came out to 26 both ways. So I had a few dice left. I got the beefed up version of Savage Beast of Horus off, so my Beast Lord and my Great Brave Shaman have +3 attacks, +3 strength. Which isn't bad. My Great Brave Shaman is weapon skill 10 because of the Fencer's Blades. He starts off with 3 attacks, so he has 6 attacks at very high strength. So he's going to do just fine killing things. He issued a challenge. The White King declined it, and so he gets 7 attacks on me with Graveguard. And so he's hitting on 4s because of the Banner of the Barrows. And then all we care about, both of us, is he going to roll a 6 or isn't he? So he doesn't roll any sixes. He was wounded on fives. He didn't roll a five or a six. I killed four guys. When it comes down to it, I had a charge and four kills. Um, he had two banners and three ranks. He wins by a musician, and I pass. I was actually kind of hoping at this point. Um, well, I was going to say I was hoping I'd flee just to stay alive. That would have defeated the whole purpose, I guess. So I felt I got lucky that turn. The problem is he has another round to go to roll a 6 for killing blow and kill my guy. If you look on the left, that unit of skeletons is greatly diminished. I really think if he doesn't beef it up during his magic phase, my Bestigor should win that, and we should be okay. So we go to Vampire Count's turn 4. Big news is on the right. His general reforms that skeleton unit, coming to the flank of my Bestigor horde, or my Gore horde. Really not a whole lot going on. Over here, yeah, it was funny with my Great Brave Shaman. He had 7 attacks on me. He hit with 6. He should have hit 3 or 4. He hit with 6, and even with 6, he only rolled 1 6 when he rolled a wound. But 1 6 is all it takes. He killed my Great Brave Shaman. It was a real shame because I had so many. For every kill I get a power dice that I can use whenever I want. Well, I killed 4 guys the first turn. I don't know how many I killed this turn, but I had a lot of dice sitting there ready to be used. I was going to dominate every magic phase from now on, but I kind of didn't expect to survive 2 rounds of combat. So Great Brave Shaman's dead. The Bestigor finish off the skeleton unit, and it's on his turn, which is just beautiful. So I reform to give me ranks because I see that his Graveguard's only 3 deep and maybe 4 deep, and so having that 6 wide isn't going to help me. And I've positioned him so that I can make sure when I charge him, it's a flank charge. So I finally brought him down from 1 fortitude. He's at 6. I'm at 5. We go to Beastmen turn 4. So the 2 remaining Harpies charge his Necromancer. My Bestigor with General charge into the flank of his Graveguard, as does my Chariot. My Gore Horde charges into the zombies. And, to be honest, my Gorgon, I wanted to charge into his skeletons, but I was worried about failing the charge. And if I failed it for any reason, he was going to come in with his General and dominate that unit. So what I did instead is I just marched him up and parked him in front of it. Now, he could charge his general out alone into the flank of my Gore Horde, and I would love that, because I think I would pop his general through combat res. So with this, I just need the Gorgon to be able to survive and just hold those guys up as long as possible. Now, another thing that happened during his magic phase, he got Curse of Years off on my Horde. I only lost a few. But I'm thinking I don't have a Great Brave Shaman. I'll roll the Winds of Magic and use all my power dice to dispel the Curse of Years on my turn. So it looks like that. I know I'm going to win that time after time. It just depends on how long it's going to take me to pop the unit. There's the Gorgon. Yeah, I thought that was kind of a nice pick. Yeah. So I roll the Winds of Magic. I roll a 4. I throw all 4 dice. I needed to roll a 12 to get rid of this Curse of Years, and I rolled an 11. So then the Curse of Years kills all these guys. And now I've got to dispel it on his turn, hoping that I have enough dispel dice to get it off, and it's going to give him, whatever he rolls for Winds of Magic, free casting with no ability to dispel. So I wasn't thrilled about that. The Harpies kill his Necromancer. Bestigors come in to the flank here, killed off the rest of the Graveguard. He's sitting there with just his White King. I actually forgot that I have +1, like an extra war banner, because the Bestigor took the banner from the unit of skeletons, which would have put another wound on his guy, which really wouldn't affect anything. But after this, I think I remembered that. And over here, yeah, we cut that zombie unit about in half. And then I realized at that point I had so few guys left that I wasn't getting much benefit from the horde formation. I only had a couple extra guys anyway. So I just reformed him to give me more ranks. And we go to his turn. He charges his corpse card in to try to kill off my battle standard bearer, which is not an easy feat. I'm toughness 5. I've got a 2 armor save. His general comes into the Gorgon. Nothing else for him to do. The black coach is still trying to collect power dice and not really doing it. After combat here, yeah, so the problem is on his magic phase, he could cast whatever he wants. So he's rerolling to hit, rerolling to wound, and that was really tough because his Vampire Lord has strength 5, I'm toughness 6. So he needs 5s to wound me, but when you can reroll it, that really helps. So he got 2 wounds on my Gorgon, and then because of Red Fury was able to get those more attacks, so he did 3 wounds my Gorgon. Just for the fun of it, I know I'm never going to get this unit killed, so I tried the Swallow Whole attack on his general. You figure I have a 50-50 chance of hitting him, a 50-50 chance of getting the killing blow on him, and then he's got a 50-50 chance of saving it. So I'm really 1 in 8 chance of it happening, but if it happened, it would have been so epic and so sweet, and I didn't even hit him. So whatever. I got Thunderstomp on the unit, and other than that, I'm really worried the Gorgon's not going to last long enough. It's turn 5. I just need him to last 1 more round of combat so his general's unit can't charge anything. So we easily kill off his Battle Standard Bearer on the left. The Gore don't kill off the zombies, but again, we're in no danger of anything hurting there. His corpse cart is gone. I killed it through combat res. I mean, I did so many wounds on the zombies that that was, in hindsight, he probably would realize that was probably a mistake bringing that thing in there. So I'm finally ahead on Fortitude, by the way. And the best Gores now have a couple extra banners. So on my turn, go ahead and go to the flank of the zombies. I know for a fact, I mean, we're going to win that one. Easy. And here, in hindsight, I kind of made a mistake. I overran with the chariot because I knew when the general was probably going to kill the Gorgon, which he did. Well, when he charged, I flew the Harpies up, and I'm going to flee with the Harpies. And when I flee, I need my units to bounce through my own units so they can't complete a charge. So I overran with the chariot, thinking that when he charged my Battle Standard Bearers unit, I would pop through the chariot. And I just wasn't looking closely enough at the angles. Because I'm thinking I'll flee with the Harpies, and then I'll flee with the Battle Standard Bearers unit. I'll pop through my own units, and it doesn't matter if I pass my panic or not. The game just ends. I know I'm winning. I just broke his Fortitude. He's at 3, so I get the 250 extra victory points. I think I'm ahead on points anyway. So I just want to make sure he doesn't get any easy points at the end. So he charges the Harpies, I flee, he charges my BSB's unit, and that was where it got a little bit dicey because when I fled I wasn't going to pop through anything. But I rolled an 11, so I got lucky there, got away, and the game ends like that. I had a turn, but there was nothing left to do. Another thought I had was I could have stayed with the Harpies and when I beat the zombies just reformed with everybody so that when he beat the Harpies he would get maybe a charge into my BSB's unit, and then on my turn, before he ever actually fought that, I could bring the chariot and the Bestigors into his warriors. And I think I would have won combat. The problem was I wasn't going to kill that unit anyway, so I didn't see the point. Like, what's the point of risking losing any of my units when I know I'm not going to get so many wounds that I could pop all those guys. So in some ways it was kind of a cowardly ending to it. Another way I think it was just a smart way to end it because, again, there was nothing to be gained in combat there. So at the end of it, it was a pretty good victory for the Beastmen. I'm ahead on points anyway. 250 extra victory points for the Blood and Glory scenario certainly help. And I chalk it up to the Great Brave Shaman sacrifice because if it weren't for that, his Graveguard would have come to the flank of my Bestigors. I would have lost my general, my Bestigors, and I think my Gore Horde would have been tied up for too long with everybody else, and it just would have gone downhill. So I appreciate the Great Brave Shaman for taking one for the team. That's it. Hope you enjoyed it.